Senior, Director of Bands, Associate Professor of Music.
Okay, Doc, you're the infamous band director of the Sonic Boom of the South, and we're here live at Jackson State University. And what better person to consider the source of the history of the boom and philosophy of education than Dr. Lewis Liddell? Tell me, Doc, how long have you been around Jackson State University?
I've been around Jackson State University all my life. I've been teaching school 41 years, and I finished high school in 1963. And I've known personally all of the band directors who have ever been at Jackson State except one. I did not know the second band director, a guy named Salisbury. I did not know him. He was here in 1947. I didn't know him. He was here 1 year.
Okay.
But I've been looking at Jackson State and observing this band all my life. And this is my 17th year as band director. I'm the second longest tenured band director at Jackson State.
Do you know, could you name all the band directors?
Yes. The Jackson State, keep in mind, Jackson State initially was a private church school that was founded in 1877 in Natchez. It was established by Missionary Society out of New York. And missionaries came down, and all over the South, from up north, white missionaries, to establish schools to educate the recent freed slaves. That's how Jackson State grew out of that same experience. And Jackson State was a private school up until 1940. In the 1930s, the Missionary Society out of New York withdrew support for Jackson State during the Great Depression. They could not afford to keep school up. And in 1940, the state took over the school, and it became a state university. And the first band director at that time in 1940 was Hal Hal Senior. He was a high school band director here at Jackson State. Not at Jackson, he was a high school band at Liddell High School. At that time, Jackson State consisted of both high school students and college students. And then in 1947, Charles Salisbury became the band director at Jackson State. He was band director for 1 year. In 1948, William W. Davis, for all practical purposes, was the first real band director at Jackson State. A lot of people don't know he's a graduate of Alabama State. He's from Ironton, Ohio. He was a jazz musician. He played in Cab Calloway's band, lead trumpet. Of course, he was in the military band in World War II. And in fact, he was my band director. He was my band director at Jackson State University. He is the longest tenured band director at Jackson State. He was over the marching band from 1948 to 1971. And he continued his career as over the symphonic wind up until his death, I believe, in 1980. And Jackson State has a long history, and all those individuals have been associated with the band. Dr. Robertson, the dean of liberal arts here at Jackson State, College of Liberal Arts, she's been there 55 years, they might 56 years. She also was a music major at Jackson State. She was assistant band director here. Started in 1952. And she graduated from Jackson State in 1947, I believe, 47. So I've known all of the directors. Hal Hal came to Jackson State in 1966, my senior year. Hal Hal and Jimmy James. And they were assistant band directors. And I graduated in 1967. I could go on and on. And
so Jimmy James was part of the boom as well?
Jimmy James was assistant band director at Jackson State in 1966, up until before he got his doctorate sometime in the early 70s. Okay. He also was the first tuba major at Jackson State. And he played tuba here, of course, first major. He played in the band 3 years. He graduated in 3 years. In 1971, I think Hal Hal left Jackson State in 1970 and went to Prairie View for 1 year. Then he came back in 71 as the head marching band person. And also I taught Dow Teller. I taught Dow Teller in high school. Dow Teller taught him for a few months back in 1970, and as a high school band director. And he came director bands here in 1984. Hal Hal left and went to Virginia State. And I tell her, last year the marching band was in 1990. And Duplessis did 1 year with the marching band director, 1991. And I came in 1992. And I've been here ever since. We've had some very talented directors have been through here. I can go on and name them. Dr. Esther Smith, who eventually became the academic VP. We had Dr. Magruder, the band director at Winston-Salem. Paul Adams, social director of bands at Norfolk State. We had some students at Tim Chambers, who was a graduate student here, who now is at Fayetteville State. Samuel Griffin, which one a lot of people don't know. Samuel Griffin, an Alcorn director of bands at Alcorn, is a Jack State graduate. He graduated Jack State in 1966, 1 year ahead of me. We played in the band together 3 years. He was a baritone player, one of the best baritone players I ever heard. He was an excellent musician, and we've been close friends all our lives. So that always amazed the student they found out that. And Griffin is the longest tenured band director in the SWAC. I think I am number 2. We have a lot of turnover in recent years in the SWAC. So I'm with the 17 years that make me the second longest tenured.
So what do you think that you will be here as long as some of the other I mean, you got Foster, that's 54 years, you got Greg's, that's 40 plus years, and do you think you'll be here as long as they are? Or?
Absolutely not. The clock, the biological clock would not permit that.
I hear that.
I have done a lot of things prior to coming to Jack State University.
Okay.
When I came here, I had been out of band 7 years. I was in school administration. I was up high education. I was assistant to the president at Murray State University in Kentucky. Later became assistant to the president and went on to state in Minnesota. And then I was at A&T, assistant dean of College of Arts and Sciences at North Carolina A&T. Prior to coming to Jack State. When I got out of band, I was at Kentucky State. I left band in '87. I left with the intention of never returning. Never returned to band again. And I received numerous calls from alumni and old friends who encouraged me to apply for the vacancy at Jack State University. I had only seen Jack State band once prior to leaving Jackson. I saw them in '89 at a Tennessee State game. And I had no feeling and no inkling to ever return to band. But by still having a home here in Jackson, my mother's still here, family here, numerous relatives, I took the plunge, decided to come back. My wife didn't want me to come back, and because she was enjoying her career there at A&T. But we made a decision to come back, and so I had 20-some years experience before coming to Jack State. Now, longer than that, 20-some years experience. So I started teaching in 1967 in Louisiana.
What was your biggest struggle upon coming back with the way that you left Jackson and coming back in here? I know that the times are different and the kids are probably definitely different, but what was your biggest struggle when you first got here?
One thing you have to know music and be a musician. I'm going to say this, I'm going to be careful how I say this. My high school band was better than a lot of college bands that I knew, musical-wise, the way we presented ourselves. And a lot of time, I think a lot of our directors are not really playing music. And I challenge them. I challenge all of them to have a chorale, play scales, warm exercise, lip slurs, and play marches. Not just when you play Jack State, but play them all the time as part of your regular repertoire. And I was brought up, I think I brought up in the old school. And we had to play music. And you get in the band to play the latest pop tune. I think we have surrendered musicianship. I really think that, honestly.
Do you think with the plight of hip hop and some of the pop tune artists that they have actually sold out, or the music, we always hear that the music is different, but you made a statement saying that music is music, and some of the stuff that they are putting out there is simply not music. You may have a beat, you know, and a hook here, but let's go to some artists like, for instance, Earth, Wind and Fire and Frankie Beverly Mays. You know, those were bands that really produced something. You got some artists today. Who does Dr. Liddell listen to of today that he endorse and like?
Honestly, let me tell you a shocking reality. I don't listen to hip hop. I don't listen to rap, any of that music until marching season.
Okay.
I listen to classical music almost exclusively, and I listen to jazz almost exclusively. I am a classical musician. That's how I characterize myself. But you made an interesting observation about the music of the day. When I was growing up, no offense to James Brown, James Brown was the worst music example that we had. Now think about that now. James Brown is far, head and shoulder, better than anything that we have today. His music, he had melody, he had harmony, he had counter melody, his music had excitement, all of those things, but these tunes today we had in rap, it's difficult. A lot of those things are missing. And his music was played in tune. It made music, people played music. Even the Drifters, all of those examples, even Elvis Presley even. Those was good musical examples that they had melody, harmony, rhythm, bass line, all of those things that constitute a musical composition, they had it. We grew up with those type of things. Kids now, all they have is a beat and a sound. And so we have to teach harder now. We have to make sure our kids are exposed to the right type of musical content in the classroom.
Do you think that is it the kids or is it us, society? Because you know, it used to be where when you had a battle of the bands, there was a clear winner. Musicianship, discipline, all of that was different. I mean, the crowd now literally doesn't want to see certain things. It's hard pleasing the crowd now.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's the crowd, or is it just the kids, or sign of the times, or what?
Some all of it. The people have been exposed to so much now. Keep in mind also, when I finished high school 40 plus years ago, almost 50 years ago now, we couldn't even go to a McDonald's in Mississippi. We couldn't go to a Burger King. We couldn't go to Dairy Queen.
So how does that make you feel now, knowing that you're the director, and when you take your kids certain places that you weren't even invited to, and 40, 50 years may sound like a long time,
but
actually it's not.
Yeah. Now the point I was making was, band was our recreational activity.
Okay.
I missed one band practice in high school because my parents made me do something at home. We wanted to come to band practice. When I played my instrument, that was my video game. I worked on my instruments. When I did my math assignments, that was fun. That was fun to me because that was better than digging holes out in the garden. And some of my friends better than picking cotton in the Delta. So these were things that we wanted to do. Now speaking of how it made me feel going to a place, I was involved in the civil rights movement, of course, in Mississippi and Jackson. And as a youngster, I was involved in voter registration, all those things. And we had some painful experiences, but I'm proud to see that we've come a long ways. Well, we have a long ways yet to go. And I never thought I'd live to see the day when we have an African American as Democratic nominee. And I pray to God that he becomes the president of the United States. I might sound partisan, but that's what I'm looking for.
And a lot of people don't know that he also was in the band.
Now, I didn't know he played in the band. That's new for me.
Yes, he played.
But I do like what Obama said. Obama talked education. He talked about the importance of art and music. And I'm going to say this here. Physical education is absolutely needed. Our kids becoming couch potatoes. We have obesity problem. It's very evident when you get these kids coming in freshmen. They never had any physical activities. And it's you got to go back to educate their total child. Everything. Sound body and sound mind. We got to go back and put art in music, in our curriculum. We got to emphasize the fine arts. All those things make a wholesome, healthy individual. We need to go back to the public school. And we got to have math and science. When I came to college, I didn't come to college to major music. I came to college to major math. But I ended up majoring in music. I have a son now who's a band director in Memphis. His major at Jack State was chemistry. But he played in the band here at Jack State, and he took these music courses, been around music all his life. He also plays trombone with the Marvin Cease Blues Band. But we have a lot of kids. We have kids in the band who, some of our better students, for instance, guy majored in physics, the best saxophone player. So kids are majoring in a broad spectrum of things. But I think, going back to my point, we do need the arts in the schools. And we need to treat art like it's an important part of the school curriculum. And that means it's important that band directors, but we have an awesome responsibility when we go out there in the public. People don't see our symphonic bands. We have one of the best symphonic bands, I think, around the Jack State, here at Jack State. But don't nobody know anything about it. We might have 500 people at our concert. That's a crowd. That's an overflow crowd, 500 people. But a football game, we might have 50,000 in one game. But as band directors, we need to emphasize the importance of musicality. We also entertain, but we also to enlighten and educate.
Have you ever faced a challenge that you had to stop yourself and ask, how did my band director do this?
Absolutely. I used to ask things about, I think my early career, that's all you had to rely on were your band directors. And I must confess, I had some very good band directors at the very beginning in high school. I was starting with a guy named Bernard Holly. Bernard Holly is the son of Kermit Holly Sr., the first band director at Jack State. All three of his sons are band directors. Kermit Holly Jr. Is retired, but works at Jack State as a part-time theory teacher. Dr. Kermit Holly Jr. So we had, I had some very good teachers. Esther Smith, Prop Davis. Prop Davis taught me how to teach trumpet. I'm a clarinet player. When I was a music major, I watched and listened to everything that Prop Davis would tell the brass players. Because I knew if I was going to be a band director and I'm just playing clarinet, what am I going to do out there? How am I going to teach the brass players? And I pride myself on what our trumpet players do here at Jack State University. But I was supposed to some very good band directors. And I use a lot of examples. I also had some very good band directors in grad school. Dr. Jimmy Mullins, at the University of Louisiana Monroe. One of the best band directors I ever known in my life. But it was in symphonic. Very good band director. So I have been exposed to some people who knew something about music. And also I learned from my colleagues and some of the best band directors I know are high school band directors.
How has the plight of band changed physically? I mean, you know, back in the day, maybe running laps or push-ups. Now a lot of times kids complain about we run too much or need a water break or can't do certain things. I mean, is there any sympathy or correlation between that or what? How do you feel about the two? I mean, I guess today's band with your students and the calisthenics that they do versus when you were in the band.
Well, actually, our kids do just as much as we did when I was in the band. I must confess. We should not do calisthenics and exercise just for exercise purposes. It must have a purpose. We should have kids do a push-up just doing them. And we should not use exercise to punish kids. Exercise should be used, or calisthenics, to get the entire group in shape, to prepare them for the rigorous season. Band camp is a shocker for freshmen. But we ease them in. We do not just jump out there and say, okay, we're going to run 10 laps, or we're going to do 40 push-ups. We start out with a little bit at a time, and we gradually get those kids in shape. It happens so subtle that they don't realize they're getting in shape. I think, but the first couple of days, that sort of is a shocker. And we also don't put them out there in the sun. We get out there at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, take our time and very carefully, and we also monitor the kids' health. Because I'm telling you, the worst thing that can happen to you, to have a kid to go into some type of seizure, it could die. Those are that's a cruel thing to say, but it can happen, and it happens all over this country.
Okay. Also, with the band program, I guess what would be your philosophy on the new band student? Nowadays, it seems like you guys, I see Jackson State and Motown, I see bands on commercials. There's a lot of big things going on with bands and a lot of big business. And most band directors have not had business classes. So that's to a little disadvantage. Sometimes it can make or break a program, but do you think that these band directors also need to have some kind of business mind or education along with the musical degree?
Well, you know, well, of course, my undergraduate course in music education, my master's degree is in music education and school administration. I've taken school finance and taxation. I've taken school administration. And I've taken all these curriculum classes. I think my experience has really helped me administratively by being assistant to the president, all those things, directing institutional research at other universities. And I worked at, it's good to move around some. It was a good experience having a rural experience. I started out at a rural school in Louisiana. Out at the schools, it was in the cotton field. Honestly, it was in the middle of a cotton field. And all we had about 3 houses, a church, and a gas station. That was it. The kids worked out in the cotton fields, and they slopped hogs, and they were farm kids. And I was a Jackson. Jackson not big as Atlanta or New York, but a lot bigger than that town was. And I had an attitude that I'm from the city, they from the country. Hope I'm not getting off the subject. But I want to tell you what happened there. When I came there, the kids, I met the kids, they was dirty. They had not been, they were having come from the fields. Some came to meet me. But we had band practice that night at 6 o'clock. Well, they came back all clean and bright and ready to go. And we passed out the book with John Philip Sousa on it, original marches. I didn't know what in the world I was doing. I didn't know how to be no band director. All I knew was B-flat concert and 1-2 ready to play. And I say 1-2 ready to play, and those kids played those marches. And those kids taught me something about respecting kids, respecting people, understanding folk ways and more ways, how to relate to people, all different types of people. They had a lot of pride in the town. Washington Parish, Louisiana, down near Bogalusa. They had a football team was competitive for the state championship every year. Basketball team, and we had a darn good band. I think all of those things helped me to develop my teaching skills. I also taught elementary school music in Monroe, Louisiana. I taught 1st to 6th grade. Those were good things. Then, of course, I came to public school. I would not trade my public school experience for anything. Them hard-headed principals who didn't take anything from a young band director, who taught you how to respect authority and carry yourself in a respectable way, taught you how to get to work on time, taught you to turn those lesson plans in, and knowing how to construct lesson plans. They made sure you learn how to teach. And when I came to the public schools in 1970s, it was a time when they would find black band directors. They would hire black band directors. The schools integrated. The 6th decree hit. But I survived all of that. And going to the state band festival, judges giving them 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. You can learn from getting a 4. I learned my most by how to be a band director by getting a 4. It's a humbling experience. Believe me. But you can take it and say, well, they know what they're talking about. Or you can take it as a learning experience. Well, the judges were racist and prejudiced, but at the same time, I did do some things that were wrong. But I worked against those odds and succeeded. And my band eventually won a national championship, and here I am today. I use all those experiences that I've had.
Do you think that gave you an advantage, especially by teaching elementary school, because those are very humble beginnings. If you in terms of patience, when you're dealing with kids coming into college who may have missed something, I mean, do you think that'll give you an advantage in teaching versus just telling the kid flat out, no.
Okay, that was so beautiful about that experience. That was a beautiful experience about that. I wasn't a band director. I was the choral vocal music person. I had to play piano at the similar programs. And I taught at, I think it was 4 or 5, it might be 4 elementary schools. The band director was Maurice. Maurice, who was band director, and Maurice Johnson, who was band director at Grambling. We both worked together in elementary school in Monroe, Louisiana. When I came back in '92, I hadn't seen Maurice since I left Louisiana. I left Monroe in 1970. I hadn't seen Maurice in 1970. It was a really shocking experience when I came back to Jackson. I was band director at Jackson State. He was band director at Grambling.
Small world.
So really very interesting. Very interesting experience.
And finally, there's a new game out, Black College Football Experience, and it features all the black schools and the bands, including your band. How does it make you feel to know that people can go into a Circuit City or future Walmart or Best Buy and get this game and actually become part of the Sonic Boom and experience it in a way of a video game? You know, even people who have never seen Jackson State before, ever. Yep. You know, people that live in Maine, Canada, anywhere can go and get this black college, or people who just want that black college football experience. There are some students, black students, that go to white schools that really, really, really are hungry for that black college football experience and would love to, you know, be there at the game. But how does it make you feel to know that your band is a part of this, or this happened under your tenure of being a director?
Well, it really is. I think it's not a Jackson State thing. I think it's a historical black university thing, that all our bands have finally been recognized what we are. We do bring a lot to the games. We bring excitement, electricity. And let me tell you one thing, one of the most powerful experiences for any kid is to come to the Jackson State game, into that stadium, with 50,000 fans and play and get ready. When the tuba start off that thing, the drum majors up front, trombone pumping in them slides, trumpets playing notes octave the register, piccolo dancing, pretty girls in front. Jay said, it's nothing more powerful than that. And I think that experience with this company captain, I think it's sales. But with that said, we have an awesome tradition. We had a lot of folks who came before us. So the best bands I played in at Jackson State University was in the 60s. And nobody knew nothing about us. I played at William W. Davis. Did nobody know us? We musically, we won the far superior in this band. But nobody knew us. We didn't get the recognition. Grambling was one of the first bands to get the recognition. And they got it through football. And when I saw Grambling, no offense to Grambling, when I played against Grambling the first time, I think about sophomore year, or freshman year, I was shocked that this the band they got on TV. But they were a good band, but I knew Jackson State band had a little bit, something a little special. So, but now all our bands are now getting the recognition they deserve. But with that comes responsibility. We got to make sure that when we put our band out there, that band is properly portrayed. So we have to make sure that we do the right thing with our programs.
Yes.
Musicianship, discipline, those very important attributes. Another thing, we got to be more than a historical black band. We should be able to go to Michigan and play. Can we compete with Michigan marching band? Can we go on the football field with Ohio State and come out there? Jackson State band, I think we can do that. Our kids will rise to the occasion. Whatever, we are a very, very flexible band. That's why we play all these these marches and things. All that traditional band music. Where we emphasize dynamic contrast. And I always talk about that woodwind timbre. You gotta set that woodwind timbre before you set the brass timbre. But I think all of those qualifying things are needed. But we are excited to be a part of this thing, and we'll see numerous accolades in it since my tenure at Jackson State. I know when I was in college, we went to the World's Fair. That was a symphonic band. Goes down Teller in 1990 went to Motown. That was significant. But we also went to Image Awards. We've done numerous, been to NCAA Hall of Champions. We played in numerous pro games. One of the big things, Dog Days is a big thing about CSTV. I can go on and name the things we've been into. It's nothing for us to be interviewed. Our kids now is a little bit cocky. They've got used to seeing cameras around. That's a good thing and a bad thing. But that means we're doing something right or doing something awfully bad for one report on. You have to be exceptional.
I hear that. Do you, any words for the creators of the game or the CEO of the company?
Yeah, I have worked with the CEO company. This could be an educational thing.
Yes.
And they present it right. We got little kids out there who are playing in bands all over the country. Little kids in Chicago, and they're making choice between football and band. My son played in football in high school. He started playing trombone in the 5th grade. No, 6th grade. He started playing football in the 4th grade. And he played football all the way through high school. But he played trombone in Jack State Band. But he still played his trombone. And you can't just, but our kids, another thing, being in the band is also, it's a male thing to do as well. We have females in the band, but it's also, we have more trouble with our males than females. And I wanted to play football. All young men do. I tried to play basketball and got cut. My brother played football, but I never tried out for the team. But I think that it's a wonderful game you're putting out there, and you need to use it as an educational vehicle to encourage school systems to keep music in their schools. One of the first things to cut when the budget get tight, the arts. They take out art and music. Art is so important. With no more than manual dexterity, moving the fingers. Same thing in music. And art, the different colors and shades of light. And in music, the different shades of sound. All of those things are important in developing a total human being. So I want to commend your company. But one thing I'm going to say on video here, I know y'all not going to put this on your thing here. Your company did one thing wrong. They did not involve the band directors with the initial setup, the initial involvement. We found out about it ex post facto after manifestations have already occurred. We found out that, and that created some public relation problem with me. I think it's been best. I'm not that hard to get along with. All these band they won't be respected. These band directors work hard. They bust their butts. They put these kids out there and do these little shows. And all we want is we don't get paid enough money. But at least we want some on our pride. My ego stroke just a little bit. So give them respect to involve. If you want something to succeed, you involve the people involved. And you start with those at the bottom level. You should have come to the band and say, okay, we have this video game. We think about putting it in here. What are your ideas on it? Ask us. These say, we know we got to get approval of the university. We know we got to go to the president. When you come to the president and come top down, we don't find out about it it's already done. In fact, I found out about it at a football game. When a camera crew came in and filmed the band. That's not the way to do business. And I know I'm not trying to stroke Mr. Arnold, but I've been knowing him a long time. And he's the kind of person you need to come around here and somebody who can relate to these band records, understand the pain that these band records are going through by being a former band member. He has some clue and idea what's involved. He understands the elements. And I know being a business company, that's important to have people who understand. If you're trying to sell mops and brooms, you don't need to get me to sell mops and brooms. You need to find somebody who knows mops and brooms and let that person sell it. The same thing about this band being in your business. So I wish you the best of luck, and I pray that this thing it works out good. You come over here, we'll get the right conversation, sit down and get some real recordings of Jackson State Band. You can take that generic mess off of the video game.
We got you, Doc.
Thank you.
Last question, and let's just say you decide to retire. Whenever or however you walk away from this band, what message would you like to leave for the incoming director?
One thing I like to say, I did it my way.
Okay.
And my way, hopefully, was the right way. And I try to always be true to musicianship. We are musicians. We cannot be, we got to resist buffoonery. And we also work with young people. We got to be concerned about character, concerned about how we present ourselves. Oftentimes, folks, you want to see us dance and monkey shine. We got to also play real music. We got to play the John Phil Sousa, the Fillmores, no more than the stand. If we play a pop tune, make sure it's tastefully done, that it has musical content, and not just by playing loud and blasting. We need to sound like a CD, like a musical organization. And so the person that follow me, I hope that they understand that there are a lot of people, there have been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. There's no accident that Jackson State has a good band. That's what we have been all the band. Look here, Hal Hal Sr., 1940. He taught me part-time. I was in high school. He used to come back tutor me. I didn't know Salisbury. Then William Levy Davis, 1948, he was my band director. Hal Hal came in 1966, and came back as band director in 71. Dow Teller, 84, I taught him in high school. Then of course myself. We had a legacy, a long line, linkage of very outstanding band directors, and who have been true to music. And keep this pro. It's done no accident. We have not had all the money we've needed. We have done. That's a bad thing and a good thing, because sometimes when you do without, people think you don't need it. And we got used to accustomed to being able to have a quality group sometimes with that quality budget. That's a good thing and a bad thing. But this program will be intact. This program will be what I call a standard band program. And this program is structured right, with the right emphasis. Any trained band director who's properly trained from anywhere in the country should be to come here and do the band. It should be no secret. You should not need no type of little wicket board or something to find out what to do with the band. Should be no dark secret. That's what I want to leave you.
And for the year 2008, what is your message to high school seniors that may be considering Jackson State? Do you need any section more than others, or what do they need to?
Here's my message to high school students. Go to class. Pass, make A's in English, science, math, social science. Pass those classes. Also, make A's in band. Get involved with what you're doing in high school. Don't predicate your entire career on coming to college and playing the band. You got to first learn all you can learn from your teachers. Your teachers are not squares. Yeah, my daddy told me once, every teacher out there at high school has finished high school. So go in and learn. We are not looking for any particular section. We're looking for folks, as indicated, who are academically solid, number one. Also, people who are socially ready for college. Folks who are socially ready to be in this band program. This band program is not for every student. Jackson State Band Program is a highly competitive, very serious program that requires a lot of work and dedication. You have to give up some of your free time, but don't give up your classroom, your study time. We don't ask for your study time. We want you to go to your physics classes, go to your physical education classes. But we also want you to be at band practice. So it's a lot of work involved. All right, band-wise, know your scales, major and minor. Know how to read music. Know how to play those method books. All the method books, 1, 2, 3, 4. Know a solo on your instrument. Have a prepared piece. Understand how to sight read. How does the band director know whether the tune is right or not? How the tune goes. It goes the way written on the page. Look at, be able to decipher that written pattern. Understand, have a sense of tone, intonation, pitch. Have a sense of dynamics. Have a sense of tone, color. Be a complete musician. Be a performer, not a tutor. Be a musician, not a horn tutor. Anybody can toot a horn, but it takes only a musician to play on an instrument.
That's a real statement, and that is from Dr. Louis Liddell Sr., Jackson State University.